Hello everybody and welcome back to another video for the day. We're going back into r/Tales of Neckbeard, and if you would like to be amazing and show your support for the channel, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and start up a discussion. If you have not already, subscribe to the channel. Let's go! Our first story comes to us from username Paperclip789. I dated a psycho neckbeard. This is my first time ever posting anything. I don't have any social media and I just got this app. I've heard a lot of the stories in here because I watch people like r/Voicey is here and yours truly. Hello. I've been wanting to post this for a while, as what happened still baffles me at times and really bothers me. I'm sorry for grammar or spelling, I'm not the best at that, but anyways, let's get into the story. To give you a quick description of me, I am a 5'5" female. I was and still am 18. I had hair that was a bit shorter than shoulder length at the time. I am also brownish blonde. I enjoy a variety of video games and scary movies. This is the main thing me and Beard bonded over when we first became friends. This happened about a year ago. It was my senior year of high school. I was super excited for first class because it was psychology and I really enjoyed that. I walked into class that day, sat down, and in a seat away from most people near the window. I did not have many friends in high school and was still messed up from a prior experience I had that left me with PTSD. Needless to say, I was not very social and was in a bad mental state as it had a lot going on. So when the seat next to me that was closest to the window got taken by a kid who I never seen in my school before, I figured I'd talk to him, especially because his arm looked damaged as it was wrapped in a bandage. So I walked up to him and asked him about his arm. Beard said that he had gotten a skin rash that hurt really bad, that he did not know what it was from. I felt bad for him, so I said I was sorry and that I hoped he would get better soon. I then asked him where he was from, and he told me he was from a place in New York and that he was hopping from family member to family member and that his family was very dysfunctional, that he came to stay with his aunt and to help her son who had severe autism. Needless to say, by the end of the conversation, I felt bad for him and wanted to be his first friend he had here, so I exchanged discords with him. So to describe how he looked when I first met him, he was about 5'9", short dark brown hair. He was skinny but had some muscle to him. In overall good shape, he did not smell bad when I first met him. He did have an impressive beard that went down to his neck. First impression though was that he was a hairy but clean person. Later, he became very unhygienic and would never shower or groom himself. So we started talking, and the first week or so went good, and then I invited him out on a date to a fair we had locally every year to show him around town. I went and picked him up that night and went good with no problems. I actually had a crop ton of fun. So when he asked me out, I agreed to date him. This is when things started getting weird. He started becoming very sexual with me very fast and would say or want me to do things that were very messed up. I would just laugh it off and think he was just joking. Looking back on it now, I should not have done that. Eventually, he introduced me to his two friends and they were really cool and we got along super well. We all started to play D&D together. I was new at the game, so they had to show me. This brought out Bear's I am better than you attitude. He would act above me and his friends, not to mention he would also try to talk to his friends about doing sexual things while I was there, and he would make stuff up that he did to me or generally make me feel really uncomfortable. So I would start making non-sexual jokes about him. I figured if he was making uncomfortable jokes about me, I can make stupid jokes about him. But no, he'd get mad at me, leave a group call, and pout like a child and call me a horrible person. This was just the beginning of the red flags. About a week or so later, he was on the topic of socks once again and told me that he had fondled two mentally handicapped twin kids that were distantly related to him. Not only that, but he told me in great detail what he did to them. With this obviously made me very uncomfortable, but I was in denial and did not want to believe that it was true. A couple of days later, and I was talking to his friends, and they said that Beard was a little bit weird, and they sent me a passage he wrote that when it was an explicit passage about doing things to one of my little ponies. I was more uncomfortable. I did feel though it was not my place to judge, and we talked about that later and it was fine. By now, we have been dating for a month. I started to go over to his house, he started thinking I owed him socks, and every time I would go over, where he would try to force socks on me, and when I did not give it to him, he threatened to cheat on me or claimed I did not trust him. This obviously made me upset, as I just was not ready to have socks due to being abused by someone only a year ago. He would make me feel guilty for this. This cycle would continue for another month until one day the topic of depression came up. Now, let me tell you, I had dealt with a very emotional abuse friend who would cut himself and send pictures to me almost every day and then blame me for it. I have PTSD because of that, and one of my main triggers is cutting. I told Beard this and told him if he ever did that and showed me out of the intention to hurt me, I would not be able to talk to him again. I would direct him to get help, but I will not sacrifice my mental health because of that. One night, I had fallen asleep early and I woke up in the morning to 10 missed messages and 5 missed calls. Beard was freaking out in all of them, saying how he was dying and having a panic attack and how I was the only one who could save him, and me not answering is making it worse. I got concerned and contacted him. He acted just bland and sad. I tried to ask what's wrong, but he would not tell me. He said he'd tell me at school. Well, I got to school and walked over to Beard and asked him what was wrong. He then proceeded to pull his shirt down and show me cuts he had made on himself. I was not only having a panic attack, but I was also pissed that this guy thought that after I told him the one thing I cannot stand that messes me up the most mentally, that it was okay to cut himself and show me all over me falling asleep early because I was exhausted from staying up late every night with him. I ended up leaving the classroom and texting him I wanted to only be friends for now. Beard did not like this, and at first he was apologetic, then he got angry and started blaming me and saying I was overreacting. I had enough of this and decided to talk to his friends because at this point I was fairly good friends with them and I trusted them. I told them and showed them everything that was happening, and they sided with me and helped me get through this tough time in my life. I appreciate them very much. That night I officially told Beard it was done, and what this man-child did next will blow your mind. He started acting like he had multiple personality disorder. The only reason why I think he was faking it was because how he acted during it that did not line up with how most people with that disorder acted, and I even spoke to my friends who had this disorder and she feels he was faking it too, but I'm not 100% sure, so I took it seriously so no one got hurt. When he started acting like this, he started calling me mommy and acting like he was my son, and then would say things about how someone was gonna hurt me, and how he can't control the anger and that they would hurt me. Thank God I got one of his friends into the call, and he witnessed all of this. Eventually, Beard went back to normal, and me and Beard's friends left the chat shortly after, as we were both very shook up about it. We then decided to talk to them about it. We all agreed to stop talking to him. Unfortunately, I still had to see him in school, and he had texted one of his friends later that night that he was going to hurt me really badly if he saw me at school. I was obviously scared, so I skipped first block that day, which thankfully it was the end of the semester, so that was my last day in that class, and I would no longer need to see Beard again. However, I did get a message from his female friend. She messaged me saying how she was going to get me arrested for what I did to Beard and threatened to beat me up. This did not scare me because she was very small, but I was getting irritated that bother her and Beard would not stop harassing me. I still had some of Beard's things, but I did not want to hand them to him directly, so I gave it to the office so he could get his items back. Beard would then put his hoodies on my desk and leave me notes to be grown up and give it to him myself, and other things like that. By the third time, I told the women at the desk to tell him if he tried to give me his hoodies back again, that I would throw them out and he'd never get them back. Then I asked to speak with an officer because I was getting sick of the harassment. I told the officer everything, and that Beard still had some of my stuff. The officer talked to him, Beard ended up giving me my stuff back and leaving me alone after that. A couple of months later, she messaged me sorry and that I was right because Beard did the same thing to her as me. I did try to warn her before she threatened me and called me a liar so she would not have to deal with Beard, but after she acted the way she did, I ignored her. So it was kinda satisfying that she says I was right, but sad that she had to learn that way. Plus, Beard lost all his friends who he's known for 5 years and treated them like crap the whole time. I am still friends with him and he lost his female friend too. Needless to say, I no longer talk to Beard's female friend, I don't trust her, nor do I talk to Beard. If you guys want to see some chat logs, I can do that too, but I'll only do it if you want me to because I will have to dig through a lot of chat log between Beard old friends as I blocked Beard on Discord. I also have a weird story encounter about his other friend that he also introduced me to. Sorry about how long this is, but I hope you enjoy. Our next story comes to us from username Tormented Strawberry. I lived with a neckbeard for almost a year. Hey everyone, this is my first time ever posting anything on Reddit, but this is definitely a long story, TLDR at the end. Okay, so this story starts in the summer between my freshman and sophomore years. I was roughly 14 or 15 at the time. I was also involved in my school's band program. We were a relatively small school in a rural community, so all the band kids were very good friends. Well, being a pretty poor place, we had our fair share of people below the poverty line or thereabouts. Enter Edgelord. Edgelord had arrived at our school roughly 3 years prior, my 6th grade year. He stayed for about 2 years and was notorious for dating younger girls. This includes myself. We dated for about 1 month before I decided he was extremely creepy. We moved away shortly thereafter and then came back again my freshman year. When Edgelord came back, he seemed to be less creepy and got a lot of female attention despite never using contractions, saying really edgy stuff all the time and occasionally wearing a fedora. He was tall, extremely hairy, and sweaty, yet still unable to grow a real beard. A classic neckbeard traits other than he did shower and wear deodorant. The worst physical thing was the sheer amount of Axe body spray. I'm allergic and being near him literally made my face swell up and get incredibly itchy. Now, he didn't have the best family life and by this point, my freshman/sophomore year, he had already dropped out, but would have been a senior. He was 18 at the time, but we were still friends. Well, my mother ended up asking him to do yard work for us that summer. He seemed a nice enough guy and was my friend, so she gave him a key. I figured this out because he intentionally startled me by walking in the door with an axe over his shoulder. He thought scaring me was hilarious, I guess. He started getting more and more attached to me at this point, telling me of his not-so-great home life, personal struggles, and his wish to find a good girl to date. He began to ask me to hang out all the time, started sending me good morning beautiful texts, buying me things, and forcing me to eat whatever snacks he would buy me from his hands. Overall, he was very overwhelming to an introverted and mentally ill 14-year-old. About the end of summer, he shows up one day to talk to my mom. He tells her he's found himself homeless, his roommates kicked him out, his mother won't let him stay with her, and he has nowhere to go. Mom asks if I would feel comfortable letting him stay, and my pushover self said it was fine, as did the other members of my household. He agrees to do yard work and chores, buy his own snacks. Mom would of course cook dinner for him, but other than that, live in our spare room rent-free. He begins to obsess over me. He would walk into my room and see my dirty underwear in the dirty clothes basket and tell me how cute my panties were. He would also decide to ask me in my bathing suit to cook for him. He said to me, "You're developing quite nicely." I was so uncomfortable, he would not let me get a moment alone. He would be waiting for me when I came out of the shower wrapped in a towel, just standing in the hallway staring at the door and waiting. He would follow me on my after-school walks. He would insist on hanging out from the time I got home from school until I had to go to sleep. He got so angry when I got a boyfriend and would constantly inquire about my virginity. He even stole my personal event journal while I was at school. Cut to December, it was so bad that I am never at home, but he blows up my phone constantly. If I'm with friends, at school, anywhere, I would sometimes on weekends wake up to over 700 messages from him because he wanted to spend time with me alone before anyone else woke up. He tried to pick the lock to my bedroom door when he thought I was in there alone. Thank God my brother was there. He even insisted on coming with my mother and I to see our family out of state for the holidays. While there, he wouldn't leave me alone either. We went on an outing to the mall, where he dragged me to the socks toys section of Spencer's. I was 15 by then, and he was 19. I was uncomfortable when he suggested going, and despite physical and verbal protests from me, he grabbed my arm and dragged me in there as I was struggling to get his hands off my wrist. He was over 6 feet tall and about 250 pounds, and I was a measly 5'4" and 110 pounds. Later on, he actually bought me a vibrator without my knowledge or consent. Another horror story was the following June. I had greatly wanted to go to Pride as I had just came out as bi. Edgelord was so obsessed with me that at this point he had begun to be me. He would intentionally go through my Spotify to like all of the exact same music, would like all the same niches and the same styles. It was creepy and actually really pissed me off. Anyway, when he heard me come out, he also decided he liked men as well as women, which was odd considering he had claimed to find men disgusting not even a month prior. Well, when Pride rolled around, I was super geared up, as was he. Unfortunately, however, I couldn't go due to some other things happening, so he went instead. I ended up sleeping over that night with my best friend, and when I came back, he left a pair of mannequin legs in my bed as a present. Speaking of pride and bisexuality, he also attempted to blackmail my closest happy uncle. My uncle is a wealthy gentleman, but is also very generous, and bought him a lot of very nice things, such as a custom-tailored suit. Edgelord then told my uncle that he would sleep with him if he was paid $1,000. It went on like that with so many more awful things, and we finally got sick of him. He was so annoying, clingy, and always thought he was right. My brothers and I made fun of him so much he stopped wanting to be around us. My mother would refuse conversations with him. My brother got him a job, a car, a license, and a GED, and he was entirely ungrateful and could only complain about it. He refused to do chores and dishes, which he agreed to because free rent, but until my mom kicked him out. He remained obsessed with me until shortly after I graduated high school. He has since moved away many states away, and I hope to never see him again. TLDR, Edgelord masquerades as a really nice person, moves in with me, and proceeds to do a number of things that are inequivocally ropey vibes, including picking a lock to my bedroom door when he thought I was alone, forcing me underage into look at socks toys, buys a vibrator for me without my knowledge. Again, I was underage. He moves out and far, far away, happily ever after. And with that, that is going to have to be it with the video. If you would like to be amazing and show your support, be sure to leave a comment down below of what you liked about the video, hit the like button, and if you have not already, subscribe to the channel. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.